as you mentioned, Chip Ganassi was put in charge of the modern era that you're looking at now, the GTs. And, of course, Chip Ganassi built this team up and also opened a factory effectively for the GT-LM cars in both America and effectively in England as well. So, again, a similar project which involved Brits and Americans, and it clearly worked. The cars would test in big endurance races such as Le Mans, Daytona, and Sebring, and as well as IMSA as ACO GT-LM cars, and also in WEC, the FIA World Endurance Championship.
And we'd be remiss not to mention Multimatic and their involvement too in this project. Multimatic out of Canada is an incredibly talented firm, a motorsports firm up there, and I know that blue, particular GT4 it's got Multimatic on it. When you get up and close to it, I believe it has a Multimatic decal there right in front of the rear tires on the lower rocker panel. But yeah, they're put on a great exhibition. Nice gaggle of cars as they climb the hill there to the corkscrew. What a great photo op this is as they all come down through the corkscrew. One with the door open.
Its first success came in the 12 Hours of Sebring in 2014, and that basically capped off the development. And then a win at the Rolex Daytona. Obviously, that put it into its 24-hour thing, and very similar to the 60s run-up to Le Mans. They did the very similar thing, which is to win all that America's got earlier in the year and then take it in June to Le Mans.
Exactly. I mean, they set that goal to do exactly what they went and did, and they knocked it out of the park. I mean, they took no prisoners that entire era. It was really owned by that car, and it was known for that.
Yeah, just as they did in the 60s, they got the best drivers in the world, from Mario Andretti, as we just mentioned, to Bruce McLaren, to Chris Amon, and so on and so forth. I know Chris Amon very well, sadly passed away a few years ago, but Chris was handed an actual replica version of his black and white winning car, which in his 80s he drove down his long farmyard driveway. He didn't get it on the road, but he did drive it, and I was really pleased that before he passed away, he was able to drive that car one more time.
That's a great story, yeah, because you always like to see that reunion. I've been blessed to be able to see that with some of my family and the cars that they've driven throughout history and come back to them, and it's always neat to see that look on the face, and I know that Michael's even driven some stuff that Mario, made history in, and what that meant to him to be able to do it's quite special whenever you get to see that.
Yeah, and like I said, in the 60s they had all the great drivers, and again in this 2016 version, Harry Tinknell, Andy Prio, fantastic endurance drivers, Joey Hand here at the wheel this weekend, and as well as the managing director of Ford itself, Jim Farley, who is a regular, to be fair, at Historic Racing, so it's not a surprise to see him here.
Like I said, he's exactly who you want in a motor company CEO.
I'm going to say, talk about talking the talk and walking the walk. Yeah.
100%, without question, and he's so accessible, at these weekends, and I'm sure he learned so much about running the business that is Ford Motor Company from being out here with the racers and with the people that are pushing his products to the absolute limits, like we're watching right here as
they're not holding back.
Showing a fender going in there. We know that these are like pieces of history here that cannot be replaced.
Yeah, but unfortunately, once they get behind the wheel again, they go back to their old habits.
Now the red mist is there. This is
absolutely, and as it should be.
The gentleman thing moved over and let him go through in turn 4 there.
So we're watching a fantastic display of Ford might, quite literally Dearborn's finest.
I love this design. This they really, they kept the soul or the bits in, the profile, if you will, of the original Ford GT40, but it really became a modern monster with all its technological advances, with the work of the aero, as I mentioned before.
Well, a few years before this project, they actually brought a road car sort of replica out for the GT40.
Yes.
Which was it was rare, but that kind of pricked the idea of, and I think that was to celebrate Ford's history.
Right, that was in like 2006.
Yeah. And they sold, I don't know how many, but they were still, you don't see one every day, but you can see them out there. I've seen a few.
Yeah, there was a supercharged
I think
V8.
that's what kind of led to the idea of saying, well, should we go back for the 50th year celebration? And here you go.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, yeah, like I said, it's going to be an interesting book for someone to write at some point, because I know there's some stories to be told that happened behind the closed doors to find out exactly how that came about.
Yeah, and by the way, in 2016, you've got to think that to go into that GTLM Pro class at WEC, because now we're talking about a World Sports Car Championship. So any of the manufacturers involved, and Ferrari were one of them, have been there for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be Porsche.
Aston Martin were at the top of their game.
And Porsche, who is always the marquee to beat. Yeah, they're always the ones to beat. And, you know, that's it's funny, you know, we had Ford versus Ferrari until the 70s hit, and then Porsche just went on a dominant tear.
Dominated it, yep.
Yeah.
Well, in many ways still are.
No, they are. They are still the marquee that everyone looks to go beat. You know, they're truly a brand that they build cars to go racing, and that is their pedigree.
And rumors still prevail that maybe come 2026 we might see the name Porsche back in Formula One with a new specs and everything else. We've got new specs next year, but there is rumors that Porsche Audi could be back in Formula One.
You never know, right? You absolutely never know. The things change so fast and rapid in that sport anymore nowadays, and so. But yeah, I mean, I saw that announcement. I think it'd be great to see Porsche back into Formula One. They've definitely been legendary within Formula One. I mean, built some of the best horsepower in the turbo era.
Well, we got the exciting news, rumored anyway, around the COTA Grand Prix a few weeks ago that Michael Andretti, cousin Michael, was going to go into Formula One. The deal didn't take place. I think it was the last hour, last bit, but it was all to do with the controlling interest. But Michael came out and was a bit more, he didn't say much beforehand, but afterwards he spoke quite freely about it. He just said that the deal wasn't what he wanted, and until it was right, but he still had his eye on the ball, and his quest to get back into Formula One is not over.
No, I think he's hungry for it for sure, and you know, I admire him for knowing or understanding the gravity of a situation when it doesn't feel quite right. And I think it takes more courage sometimes to walk away from those situations than it does to follow through with them. So,
well, you schooled me. Michael's one hell of a businessman, and if the deal's not right, he ain't doing it.
Oh, very much so. No, he's built the Andretti Autosport into a very successful empire, and you know, he's done that with a lot of great support within the organization, and Rob Edwards and JF, and just really, really solid, you know, group around him. My nephew Jarrett runs a very solid program out of there for the IMSA LMP3 deal, and so they're at Petite this week, actually today.
Petit Le Mans, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of really, really good stuff that he's involved in. He's got the Formula E, he's got the Extreme E, so he's very well diversified. So, but yeah, if it's not the right deal, he's not going to force something that shouldn't be there.